Now, the Universal Basic Income Coalition is calling on the Minister of Social Development to reject the Finance Minister's decision to increase the 350 Rand social relief of distress grant by 20 Rand from April. The coalition says this is no improvement, but an insulting pittance. During his State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa asked the Finance Minister to make provisions to increase and expand the grant. Civil society organizations say the 350 amount is already nowhere near what is needed to cope with the rapidly increasing inflation. Let's get some perspective now. We'll speak to the coordinator of one of the organizations in the coalition, the Global Reform Advocacy Platforms for Engagements, Bukelwa Hans. A very good morning to you, Bukelwa. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. The return of this grant has indeed left many with a very bitter taste in the mouth. What are your concerns around it?
Good morning, Paul, and morning to your viewers, and thank you for having me. Our concerns is this grant was implemented in May 2020, and since May 2020, there have been no inflationary increases up to this grant. And now, to increase it about 3 years or 4 years later by 20 Rand, we cannot accept that. We were expecting, at least if we were looking at inflation, that this grant would increase minimum by 90 Rands, not 20 Rands. So we're not happy with the increase that the minister has announced, seeing that also he said that he knows that the cost of living is very high. And so to add 20 Rands is, for us as a coalition, an insult to the vulnerable.
What do you think are the factors that should have been considered ahead of this announcement? I mean, you say 20 Rand is a mere insult. What should government have considered?
Firstly, government should have considered, one, that there was no increase for the last 4 years, and the inflation has increased. That's the first one. The second one is the administration of this grant, especially in view of the new new regulations that are coming in effect on the 1st of April will disadvantage many people. Thirdly, the cost of living is high. I mean, a food basket, if you were to take just the ordinary food, would cost about 1,022. So these are the costs that we were looking at. And the last one is that many of the people, of the beneficiaries that are accessing this grant are far from where the banks are. So, I mean, they've got to use the 350 to go to the bank, take the money, and the banks are taking their own charges. And so, I mean, really you end up with about 200 Rand.
We know that Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu said that those who had previously applied for this grant would need to apply again, and she also spoke about the applications in the last round having totaled 11 million. You speak about the very bare minimal consideration should have at least been a 90 Rand increase. Do you think government can afford that?
Yes, if government can look into various processes. For example, the minister is speaking about 11 million people. Those 11 million people are the people that have applied and those people that have been accepted their applications a month. But the total number of people that actually get the grant at the end of the month, about 9 million. So if government look into various aspects, we looked at, but I don't have it in front of me, the documents, on where government can actually access funds for this particular program. So, but I don't have the documents in front of me now, but the government can afford. And we also think that, this is actually playing around with people, especially during the election time, because we have found out we've done a scorecard on the manifestos of the political parties, and most of them who will not be accountable after May 2029 are saying they are supporting this SRD grant increase or the universal basic income.
Do you think
so those are the
do you think that this very minimal increase will have an impact on how people will be voting insofar as the ANC is concerned? Do you think they will be guided by the insult that you speak of?
I don't think people will be guided by this. I think we are taking the South Africans for a ride because we think that people cannot decide on themselves. I don't think this, I think actually this will be a negative 20 rand increase for the political parties during the elections.
And as we try and make sense of this increase, I mean, I know that at 350 rand, it meant that South Africans are living on 11 rand per day. How much of a difference would 90 rand make to the lives of those who desperately need this money?
It wouldn't make much. It wouldn't make much difference, but at least it would make sure that a person survives for a week or so. Because, I mean, you know that people are living with extended families. So, but at least a person can survive for a week. But with the mere 20 rand increase, that's a day or 2 days. So the 90 rand, I mean, if we look at the food poverty line, it's very, very, very far from this 440 that we're suggesting. So I think it is an insult, really.
What do you think needs to happen from this point onwards? I mean, what would you like to see insofar as deeper consideration on this amount, or perhaps some other platform to ventilate the frustration and encourage government to have a change of heart?
I think firstly we as civil society need to approach the president, because the president has got a task team and the minister and the social development minister together with her administration and finance, because those three are critical into looking into this, not only the minister of finance alone, but the minister of finance to consult, also to consult with the civil society and other organizations that are looking into this. There are interfaith organizations and so on. But consultation, because they don't know, the government doesn't know what's happening on the ground. We are the ones that are local and on the ground and know how people are suffering. So I think, firstly, a consultation. Secondly, let's give them what we think, how we think they can afford this, looking at figures and not taking and not sucking them out of our thumbs, but looking at figures to see, so that they would not say they are going to increase VAT, for example, because if they increase VAT, it will affect the poor people. So we need to sit with them and say, as far as we are concerned, as UBIC and other civil society organizations, this is how we think you can finance the extra costs.
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much. Let's leave it there for now. Bukelwa Hans, who is, of course, from the Global Reform Advocacy Platforms for Engagement of the South African co-ordinator, speaking to us there about how the increase of a mere 20 rand is not enough insofar as the grant is concerned. The Universal Basic Income Coalition weighing in on that discussion.